Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome back to the Fever Pitch Podcast. I'm your co-host Brian.
I'm Dan. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. This year is a leap year, so let's leap forward and let's really talk about what's going on in the sports world. All right, first
We
up, talk to
begin.
me about Tee Higgins.
So Tee Higgins got tagged. So he's on a 1 year deal for about I think 18, $19 million. Whatever the tag is for running for wide receivers this year, he's gonna get paid that. It's the average of the top five wide receiver contracts. So if y'all do the math, that's what he's getting paid for this 1 year. The Bengals did not give him a long-term deal yet, but I
Mhm.
think the plan is that they still want to negotiate that down the line. I'm not a fan of the franchise. Oh wait, it's $21.8 million. I'm not a fan of the franchise tag because you lose all your leverage as a player.
Mhm.
But at the same time, money is money. I would say mail it in, and I'm sure you've done enough up until this point to get some type of semblance of a market. So whether that be with Cincinnati, the Giants, or even the Panthers, he's gonna be playing somewhere after this 24 season. I would say he should take it easy, try not to get injured again, and just know that the money is there. You just gotta be you.
Mhm. So, do you think this was a good move by the Bengals to franchise tag him?
Yeah, whenever as a franchise, no pun intended, but yeah, the franchise tag is to help the franchise.
Mhm.
It's a rental, and it's like okay, in the event that you ball out, we're gonna pay you, or
Mhm.
somebody else will. In the event that you don't perform to the highest standard, you're either gonna get a low ball deal from us or a low ball deal from somebody else.
Mhm.
So either way, as a team, you want to use that franchise tag whenever you can.
Okay, okay. And then based off of T. Higgins' numbers last year, because I unfortunately took him in the first round of fantasy. No, second round. He was my first wide receiver off the board, and
Mm,
he did not ball out last year. He was injured a lot last year, but I know
yes,
T. Higgins is fundamentally a solid player. I know a lot
yes,
of things having to do with maybe Burrow being injured as well. Him
right.
the targets and looks that he's used to may have been a factor as well. But for the price tag they're paying, all in all, I do think this is a good move for them, but it's especially a good move because I think for the whole NFL they increased
Yeah,
the
sorry,
cap.
Cap. Yeah,
Yeah, how much did they increase the cap by?
let me see. I know it's some ridiculous number. I'm gonna get the number for you.
I think it was like 70 million or something like that. So even franchise tagging here, it's like you're getting value essentially because there's going to be a lot of players hitting the market as well.
Exactly, exactly. And 255.4 is the new salary cap for this year. So it's over $30 million in growth. So that's that. Um, so with that being said, Burrow's paid, and the idea is you want to get Jamar his money as well. You want to keep that nucleus of Chase Higgins and Burrow together for the foreseeable future. So I'm sure they'll even try and rub elbows, take pennies on the dollars in some capacity, just so you can keep your core there.
Okay. And then I reached out to some fans of the Bengals to ask them what they thought about the franchise tag. And
Mhm.
some of the things that they were saying were one fan said, I actually think this move was to ensure that no other teams can negotiate with T in the offseason. Teams like the Titans would throw the full bag at him. This just makes negotiations exclusive. I'm not worried
Mm-hmm.
about T. Higgins long term at all. Um, And another fan said, Marcus, shout out Marcus. I think it's the right move because we have so much cap and T is an elite weapon. We're going to have to spend money somewhere. And so that if we are paying T and Jamar a lot of money, we need them to win. Uh,
Makes sense, yeah.
ooh. But another fan said, shout out Jacob. I think it was a poor decision on the Bengals' part and a waste of money. Should invest more money into keeping better players like Chase. Jefferson would be a far better choice than Higgins. What do you think about that?
It costs more. And well, yeah, so one, it costs more because the streets are saying Justin Jefferson is going to get a quarterback level deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to pay that, I mean, go for it, but it's gonna cost you more, like I said. And two, the chemistry with Jamar and T is already existing. Obviously, Burrow, Jamar, and JJ all played together in college, but this team is what 2.5 years removed from a Super Bowl, and T Higgins was a very key contributor to that playoff run. So
Yeah.
I would say get the man his money, but if not, I can easily see him going to the likes of the Giants or the Titans or something like that.
Okay. Absolutely. And then I think I got one more fan reply here. It says, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I hope they can work out a long-term deal, obviously, but worst case scenario, they can trade him to at least get something from his departure.
Right.
Potentially a first round pick or a pick swap or some offensive line pieces.
Yeah, I heard that the capital for was like an early second rounder.
Mm,
So that I mean, it's always good to get some type of capital when you're trading. And there are a lot of gems and there are a lot of gems day too. So our early second for Tee Higgins doesn't sound too bad.
hmm So, who do you think are some other players that will get franchise tagged?
Let me see. I heard Josh Jacobs, they were looking to tag him again.
Mm,
Some other people I heard about were Brian Burns, edge rusher from Carolina,
hmm
Buda Baker, DB from Arizona, Geno Stone for the Ravens,
hmm
Devin White for the Bucks, Patrick Queen from the Ravens, Chris Jones, and Michael Pittman, just to name a few.
So, when a team goes about tagging per se, all right, and that player balls out, do they then demand a contract that exceeds what they were paid on the franchise tag?
So the franchise tag is typically the average of the top five
Yeah.
hires put at your position.
Yeah.
So ideally, you want to either reset the market or match somebody in your draft class. So
Mm,
for example, Carson 2016. Let me see. Was Carson Wentz and Dak in the same draft class?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
I think they were. Because that got 40 million. That got 40 million a year off the franchise tag. So they tagged them, and then they paid them 160 million after the following year. So that's about 40 million a year, which put him at, I think it was the highest paid at the time. Currently, he's sitting at, I think, maybe sixth highest paid QB. So every time you reset the market, it's like you're obviously going to be the highest paid at your given position. So
Yeah, they were in the
obviously,
same draft. They were in the same draft.
in draft, exactly. So obviously, yeah. So considering that, you kind of just want to leverage your future. And then with usually when you have a quarterback that's due for an extension, he's typically one of the better players at his position. So
Mhm.
naturally, you don't want to let him go for nothing, which is another reason why you franchise a guy because let's say you tag him and then you can even trade him afterwards. They did that with Orlando Brown. The Ravens did that.
Yeah.
So you want to get something you want to get some value. You don't want to let him walk, so you might tag him just so he's under you and then move him off in season or in the off season.
Mhm. Okay, I see. I see. What do you think has been some of the, in hindsight, the worst franchise tagging that a team has done? They should have just paid that guy.
Uh, I would say for the player, like Le'Veon Bell, he got franchise tag and then sat out a whole year.
Mm,
And then so he got paid to not play basically. And then from there, um from there, he came back. I think they moved him off to the Jets.
mhm.
And I'm pretty sure that was the Adam Gates offense. And Adam Gates is terrible. So he had a bad showing with the Jets. And from there, everything kind of just went to poop. So I would say ideally, if you get tagged, depending on your position, I would just try and get a deal done as soon as possible. I know Brandon Marshall once said he doesn't like to go into the last year of a deal without an extension. So the year before you're due for a re-up, you want to get that guarantee. That way you have something to fall back on, no pun intended,
Mhm.
just in case something goes left.
Right. Okay. So what do you think was the worst tagging for the franchise?
Oh,
It's got to be the QBs, right?
yeah, maybe the Commanders when they franchise tag Kirk Cousins twice and then let him walk.
Oh, why would they do that?
Hey,
Hmm. What about the Cowboys franchise tagging of Dak?
I mean they paid him, so they got a deal done that year later.
Hmm.
So I feel like Dak was on the hook because he broke his ankle that season when he was on the franchise tag. But
Hmm.
they did good business and they paid him anyway. So
Hmm. Do you think it would have been better for them to have paid him prior to that season? It would have been cheaper.
no, if I remember correctly, that was like the 2019 year.
Hmm.
And they're like, yeah, deal is imminent. And Dak was probably he was on a pretty good trajectory that
Hmm.
going into that season. And then the 2020 year he was on a pretty good trajectory, broke his ankle. And up until last year, before that, it wasn't looking too great. So they got the deal done, but they're kind of on the hook again. We talked about it on the previous episode, the cap situation with the Cowboys and
Hmm.
Dak Prescott. They kind of have to pay him again, or he's gonna eat up a lot of their cap next year. It's very tricky, very very tricky.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So with everything going on in the market, talk to me about what's going on with running backs.
As we all know, running backs don't really get any love, especially when it's they're due for extensions. You get the exceptions here and there with Alvin Kamara and even Jonathan Taylor, but that you had to pull teeth for that one. So I say that to say Saquon Barkley was on a 1 year deal with the Giants, and it's looking like he's looking for a long-term deal elsewhere, and I'm not sure if he's gonna get that. In a similar vein, Derrick Henry is entering free agency, and he's up there in age nowadays, and it's looking like he may need to be looking elsewhere. Same thing with Josh Jacobs, and I think the Raiders said that they're not going to tag him this year,
Hmm.
so be on the lookout because I think Zamir White is on the upswing. So yeah, the running back market is just very very tricky right now.
Hmm. But a lot of running backs are due or deserve to get paid. I know, especially for the Ravens, Gus Edwards was balling out, and so was names. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I do this every time.
For the Ravens, so Keith Mitchell, J.K. Dobbins, who you talking about?
Not Keaton Mitchell, not J.K. Dobbins. Jeez, why am I doing
For
this
the
right?
Ravens,
Yeah, I'm thinking running back.
Melvin Gordon, he was
No,
fumbling
no,
like
no, no, no,
crazy.
no. Not Melvin
Oh,
Gordon. His number's like 40 something. Justice Hill. Justice Hill.
Justice Hill. Okay.
Justice Hill was putting in good work as well.
I
So
mean, yeah, go ahead.
now go ahead.
I mean, the thing about running backs is like you take a lot of hits, and once you hit that 26, 27 age, you're right there at the cliff.
Hmm.
And depending on your usage, before you get to that age, that cliff, it's expedited. Like Derrick Henry's in like 300 touches a year.
Hmm.
Obviously, he's built for it, but all those collisions, it's gonna impact you, obviously, and as a result, you're not gonna be the same, and you're gonna be worn down.
Hmm.
So I think currently Derrick Henry is the where's his contract?
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, he's a free agent. So yeah, he just finished his last year of his previous deal. which I
Yep.
think was 50 million for 4 years.
Yep.
And now he's trying to re-up, and we don't know where that will be.
Yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry has made a nice chunk of change over his career. He's made 56 million. So I know he'll probably be seeking money. You know, he's a former offensive player of the year. So in 2020. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's looking to get paid, but I'm not saying he's had like a downward trajectory or anything, but let's be reasonable. You're 30 years old, you know.
And they drafted a running back, so you're probably not in their plans for the future. That
Yeah.
running back produced early, and they signed the running back. Yeah, like the writing has been on the wall. I think he's gonna end up playing elsewhere. Maybe Baltimore, maybe even yeah, probably Baltimore now I'm thinking about it. So yeah, it's like it's not much upside once you hit like the 26, 27-year-old age.
Yeah. And honestly, you mentioned the Ravens. Even with the Ravens running back room, you got two running backs who are injured who are supposed to be stars. You got to figure out that situation. You got Gus Edwards who balled out. You got we currently have Dalvin Cook on the roster. Whoa, this is a lot of running backs.
Yeah.
Um, and you have Justice Hill as well. So the more the merrier,
McCoy,
but
as of
but still.
good.
I'll
As
say
of 57 minutes ago, GM Rand Carthen, I think his name is wrong. That might be a typo. Will be well positioned to do whatever we need to do in reference to Derrick Henry.
Is that's his
The
agent?
GM. That's a GM.
Mm.
The Titans GM.
So
Um,
you think they'll bring him back?
well, they said they're not going to franchise tag him, and because they're saying that the return of him is unlikely. That the rookie they just took last year, Tajay Spears out of Tulane, he's made of the right stuff. So it's looking like they have a lot of faith in Tajay Spears,
Mhm.
and they may be looking at the future of their offense with him and not King Henry.
Hmm. Okay, I mean, ultimately for running backs, I completely always advocate for everybody to get their money, especially with the cap being increased. Uh, I have a theory that it has a lot to do with the Taylor Swift effect this past season. Uh,
Moving on.
um, that players should be paid, and Derrick Henry is still a capable running back. You put him behind a good offensive line. You have a good QB right there with him as well, because he's always worked with a dual threat QB. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised um, if he ends up on a slew of teams with dual threat QBs, whether it be with the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, Ravens, Cardinals, things of that nature. But honestly, it's just about what structure fits best for him because he doesn't strike me as a guy who wants to take a low amount of touches or anything of that nature.
Well said. There were rumors that he was going to be moved to Philly during the draft. They
Mm,
ended up taking DeAndre Swift, so maybe that was a smoke screen. But well, trading for DeAndre Swift, so maybe at one point they had their eyes set on Derrick Henry.
mhm.
So given that, I'm not sure David Montgomery has a long-term deal with the Lions, but if not, they may look at Derrick Henry as well.
Now, based off of everything that's going on and the number of back
Agree with
free
you.
agents,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that the overall market will again show a reduction in what running backs are getting paid?
Your best bet as a running back to cash out is to be taken in the first round, preferably top 12.
Mhm.
And if not, good luck.
At that point, you're fighting for a spot, and even if you have a tenured history, it's like, why would we take you? You're old and you might be injury prone.
And we can get the same production from Daquan Daquan Davis from Texas Southern University in the fourth round.
Who runs angry and actually wants it because he's 21.
Yeah, like they do this all the time. Like Isaiah Pacheco went undrafted.
Mm. So what happened? Because I feel like running backs used to get paid.
Who is to blame? Maybe Le'Veon.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, it might be Le'Veon.
Let, let me
He
let me see highest running backs contracts ever.
all time. I can probably get you a list. Zeke, 96 year, 90 million.
Mhm.
He was cooked right. He was cooked right when he signed that deal.
So it's Zeke.
Yeah,
So Zeke is messing it up.
yeah, because he got cut by Dallas,
Mhm.
and I think he got 28 million guaranteed that signing with a
Mhm.
$7.5 million signing bonus. So I think he's still on their books.
Even Tony
Yeah,
Pollard's deal, he's getting 10 million a year.
yeah, he's on a 1 year deal. So he's trying to re up. So that's the new thing now. They sign shorter scale contracts with money up front. That way it's like, all right, if you hit, you hit. And then we'll run it back again. Or
Mhm.
they might prorate the money. So it's like a 1 year $10 million deal, but they break that 10 million over 4 years. So you get 2.5 million a year.
Mm.
So they're trying to extract that money over time.
Yeah. Who would think that the highest paid running back in the league is CMC right now?
Well, yeah, he can also be wide receiver one for half of the NFL right now. So that helps.
That's true. It goes CMC followed by Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, and then it was Derrick Henry before his contract ended. Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb has some blame here too. He's had two season-ending injuries in the past 4 years, I believe.
He had one this past year, and
And then
he got injured in 2020, but it wasn't season ending. It wasn't season ending.
he ain't ball out after that. I had him on fantasy. I took him in the first round. He ain't ball out.
I think he was like upper 800, low 900, maybe even 1,000.
No, that was supposed to be my RB1. He did not do what he needed to do.
You gotta understand, Brian, when you get 250 touches a game, I mean, pardon me, as a season,
Uh,
that does something to you.
yeah, you
So
should
the
score.
so the following year, the expectation is maybe I'll take a step back. And he had 1,500 yards in 2022. He had 300 carries
But what about the year he got injured? He had the season ending, and then I'm talking the other year he got injured.
before last year because he got injured this past year.
Let me see. Nick Chubb injuries. He got injured in 2023.
Yeah. In 2020, he played 12 games, had 1,000 yards.
He wasn't injured that year.
He did.
In
He played
2020,
12 games. Yes. He,
even looking at a shout out at Draft Sharks, it says that Nick Chubb is a high risk player. He has a 63% chance of injury in any given season.
yeah, he has a lot of injury history, but he was still producing for quite a while.
Okay. So, yeah. So 2021, he had leg calf strain. He tore his MCL in 2020. He tore his MCL in 2015. I guess it was in college or something. And knee
Yeah.
tear in 2023. So I think I'm referring to 2021, October 2021. So the 2021 season, what were his stats like?
Pro Bowl.
Nick Chubb in
All
2021?
yes, Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl isn't the marker. I'm talking the numbers.
He had over 1,200 yards and 8 TDs.
You say it again?
He had 1,259 yards, 8 TDs. I think you're just a little bitter right now.
I am bitter. I think
It's
that
okay. It's
it's not
okay.
okay. It's not okay. Don't tell me it's
okay.
okay. It's not okay. It hurt.
Okay, bro. It's okay.
No, it's
I'll tell
not.
you, 2018 he was RB15, 2019 he was RB6, 2020 he was RB9, 2021 is RB7, 2022 is RB5. And then he got hurt this year.
Okay, yeah, maybe I am a bit bitter.
Yeah, like he's a fringe top 10 running back with the barring injury, he's the top 10 running back.
Yeah. I think for me it's because the previous year he had 12 touchdowns and then he gave me 8. It just
Which
hurt.
is still a lot.
But then the next year I don't draft you. You have 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. What did I do to you? Like,
But you didn't draft him.
yeah.
And I think the offense was different because yeah, like Deshaun Watson was suspended, so they leaned on the run game a lot more. He was
Mhm.
playing with Baker up until that point, and that year playing with Jacoby Brissett, who is Jacoby Brissett. So yeah, I'm gonna be the focal point of the offense. And then this year, Deshaun Watson was here briefly, and things went the way they did. You gotta look at the pieces around you.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, let's talk about some teams holistically. So I'm about to hit you with some of the longest NFL winning streaks over teams by single teams,
All
and let
right,
me know your thoughts.
all right.
Packers over Bears, 10-game win streak.
Yeah, you had to deal with Favre and Rodgers for all this time, and Rodgers literally said, "I own you," and now you're dealing with Jordan Love. So yeah,
Chiefs over Jags, 8 games.
Jags don't move me at all. They've been bad for a long time, and the year before last, that might have been a flash year. I don't think they're ready yet, so I'm not surprised.
Whoa, that's a hot take.
Yeah,
It's a steamer. Chiefs over Commanders.
one team is a dynasty, the other one doesn't know what a dynasty is. So
But they haven't beat them in 8 games. What do the Chiefs and Commanders play regularly? I don't think.
no, they played our junior year. They played um
Keep in
Tampa.
mind, this is 8 instances of them playing the Chiefs.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember the last time they played before our junior year. Yeah, that might have been like I think I was in middle school though before that. But yeah, the Commanders have been bad for a long time. So that doesn't surprise me either.
Okay. All right. Saints over Bears, 8 wins.
Drew Brees.
Okay. Seahawks.
Honestly, like if you look at all these winning streaks, think about the team that had a good quarterback for a long time, and you can answer your own question. What's next?
Okay, this one's interesting. Seahawks over Eagles, 8 wins.
Oh wow, that is a little interesting. The Eagles don't know what they are. They finally got a
But
quarter.
but
Hold
hold on,
on,
8 instances.
hold on. They finally got a quarterback.
Okay.
That Monday night game, this Eagles season this past year, they don't know what they're doing. They lost both their coordinators and they lost to Pete Carroll. Prior to that, let me see. I don't know what the last Seahawks Eagles game was, but yeah, the Eagles just don't know what they are. Every 4 or 5 years, they want to compete, and then they forget that we're competing, and then after that, it's like all right, let me just go ahead and not stop competing. Like don't worry, give them 2 years, and that team is gonna be trash again.
But I think this one is impressive because the Eagles aren't a bad team. They've won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years.
They have. So are the Seahawks.
In the last 10 years, have they?
11 maybe.
Yeah. But still, these are two like competitive teams. But for them to have lost them 8 times in a row, that's interesting to me.
Well, you also have to consider when these matches were. I know this.
Mm.
Megan, they played the Seahawks this year.
Yeah.
Prior to that, let me see the last time they played. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna say like 2017. But let me see. They played 20 times, one postseason game, and let me see. And these are close matchups. I'm looking at these scores. Played this year, they lost by 3. Played in 2020, they lost by 6. They played in the wild card game, they lost by 8. They played in 2019, lost by 8. So yeah, it's like post matchups.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
The
6.
last time they beat Seattle was in 2008.
See that's crazy to me. You haven't beat a team in 16 years.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you played them 8 times in 16 years and you haven't won.
Yeah, yeah. That's not crazy.
I mean, 2011. Okay, I don't. Was Russell Wilson there in 2011? It's interesting, but I feel like you got to add context, and we can't do a deep dive currently.
Okay.
But it is interesting to say the least.
Yeah. And if you don't count the one win they had in 2008, they hadn't won since 2002.
And how many times did they play between that span?
That was three times, but still.
Yeah, so it's like I get it. I get what you're saying, but it's like the Cowboys and the Cardinals.
And keep in mind the Seahawks are housing them in some of these wins 42-0 in 05, 38-0 in 98. These
You
are
see the gap you just gave a 7 year gap.
but hear me out. Hear me out, right? Yes, it's been more competitive as of recently, low scoring games, but the Seahawks used to really well, I guess they still continually do that to the Eagles.
I gotta look at the rosters. I'll do that on my own time.
I bet. All right. Broncos over Cowboys, 7 wins.
The most recent Broncos Cowboys matchup, I'm surprised they beat Dallas. But before that, yeah, the Peyton Manning, yeah, Romo Rumbled. I remember that. So that's one. And then LA, yeah, I'll take LA over Aikman or whoever their quarterback is at the time. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Some of these games were that 2013 game, 51-48.
Yeah, Romo. That was the one that Romo did.
Okay. We call messing up roboing now.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. Patriots over Falcons, 7.
I mean, you watch that Super Bowl, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. And the last one I have for you is Bengals over Lions, 7.
The Lions have been bad for a long time, and the Bengals have been. Eh. I mean, Andy Dalton was better than any quarterback the Lions had, except for Stafford and Goff. So and then Carson Palmer was better than any quarterback the Lions have had, except Stafford and Goff. So, and then Joe Burrow is better than Jared Goff. So, yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's all I had. Talk to me about the Raiders. What's going on?
Time and time again, the Raiders are in the news for the wrong reasons.
Hey,
And
Las Vegas, baby.
this is a repeat offender in Damon Arenette. He's not currently a Raider, but he was at one point. I think he was a first rounder too. He got charged with a bunch of illegal substances, and he had a heater on him, not a space heater, but like the one that a firearm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when in Vegas, do as the Vegas people do, or don't, obey the
don't.
law.
Don't.
Oh, obey the law. Be a civilian. You're a millionaire. Act like it. Um, there's a meme of Damon Arenette, brandishing a very large weapon on Instagram Live. It's a viral video. You'll probably find it if you look it up. So don't be him, and you won't have to worry about certain things.
So is it just because do they just draft not well, or is it just the environment?
Could be a mix of both.
Because when players get out there, they start wilding
Yeah, no cap.
like significantly, and it's not even.
Yeah. If you remember, if you can brief the people on like the Antonio Brown saga. I know he wasn't drafted there. I know he wasn't drafted there, but you saw what happened when he went there.
Yeah, let me talk about Antonio Brown. So Antonio Brown, pull up his history. essentially since he's left the Pittsburgh Steelers, controversy has followed him. His controversy started, I believe, in 2019. He had a dispute with a moving truck driver, which led to his being charged with burglary with assault, burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, and criminal mischief. He pleaded no contest and served 2 years of probation. And I know that when he was, let me see into Antonio Brown's controversy, Raiders specifically. When he was with the Raiders, Brown threatened to hit Mayock and had to be held back by several teammates, including linebacker Vontez Burfict. Afterwards, he punted a football and said to Mayock, "Find me for that." On September 6th, Brown showed up at a Raiders team meeting and made an emotional apology for his actions, right? And overall, when he was traded to the Raiders, the Steelers traded him for a 3rd and 5th round selection. The deal became official in March 13th of 2019. And prior to the trade, reports surfaced that the Steelers were close to a deal with Buffalo Bills, but the deal was canceled after Brown protested on social media. So Antonio Brown has shown time and time again to be very vocal on social media, including platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. In Brown's introduction press conference with the Raiders, he said, "I'm here to elevate everything around me. I'm here to just be a surge of energy, of positivity, and a good force, a great teammate, and bring out the best of everyone around me, because we all know it's not just about me." And on August 3rd, he posted a picture of his heavily blistered feet on Instagram, which was later revealed to be frostbite due to his feet due to not wearing proper footwear during a cryotherapy session. Brown's injury forced him to miss 10 out of 11 training camp practices with the Raiders. And on August 9th, he filed a grievance to continue wearing his old helmet, even though it was banned, threatening to retire from football if he was forced to wear a new helmet. Despite Brown's pleas to continue wearing his old helmet, even though the design was just unsafe for him, Brown eventually found a replacement for his old helmet, but also did not meet the NFL standards. Afterwards, he continued to not practice with the Raiders. Browns filed a second grievance regarding his helmet, which he also lost. On September 4th, Brown chose to wear the Zenith Shadow helmet for the 2019 season. On September 4th, Brown was fined $54,000 by the general manager due to unexcused absences and missing 2 team practice sessions. Brown posted the letters of his fines on Instagram, a move that was scrutinized around the league. The following day, Brown confronted Mayock, and the verbal altercation led to Brown calling Mayock a quote unquote cracker, which Brown later denied. And then they had that altercation. And then when head coach John Gruden was asked if Brown would be playing in week 1 against Broncos, he replied, "That's the plan, yes." Later that day, Brown read a 20-second statement that read, "I'm excited to be out here today. I apologize to my teammates in the organization. Enough talk, man. I'm excited to be out here with my teammates. I'm grateful for all the fans, and I'm excited to be a part of the Raiders and see you guys soon." However, less than a day later, on September 7th, Brown demanded his release from the Raiders after they voided the guaranteed money in his contract. Brown was released by the Raiders later that day, just hours before his 2019 salary would have become guaranteed.
Yeah, he crashed out. He crashed out. Thankful. Well, I mean, the Patriots picked him up. He caught the TD, crashed out again. Tom Brady went to the Bucks, signed to Antonio Brown, won a ring, crashed out again. So yeah, he just keeps crashing out. And I blame Montez Burfict for bracing him, but being in Vegas for that brief period of time definitely had an impact as well. So yeah, if I get drafted to the Raiders, I'm not playing there. I'm sorry. I think Antonio Brown has changed. Antonio Pierce is changing the culture there, but until I see enough change, just be wary.
Yeah, and it's like when you look at Antonio Brown, he was in the league for a long time. He'd been in the league since 2010. Typically, you don't see wide receivers with this long tenured of a career. So, by all captions of it, he was a super athlete, like respectfully.
Yeah.
Right. So for there to be this rapid decline in essentially the mental, it may have been due to CTE or other factors. He came out of Central Michigan and he did his thing. All respect to him on the field. 7-time Pro Bowler. He was part of the 2010s All Decades team, and he was the NFL's receiving touchdown leader in 2018. But his off the field interactions were what led to his downfall. He was a 6th-round pick, essentially turned dare I say he had a Hall of Fame level career, but because of
Yeah,
off field antics, I don't know if they'll give him the golden jacket.
yeah, he went from punt returner to a consensus top 3 wide receiver, and every year he was okay up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he was no longer okay up there, he still contributed enough to win the Super Bowl. And I mean, hey, things could have been cleaned up if we just stayed the course, but you know, just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I guess not. Um, so you mentioned punt returners, right? And
Oh, I did.
I want to talk about who your favorite punt returners are of all time versus my favorite punt returners of all time. All right.
All right, shoot.
So you know me, I'm a homer. If you guys don't know, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. But I'm a football guy. I'll watch it. I'll watch any team, but naturally, I'm a root for the Ravens. And Jacoby Jones, in my opinion, is one of the best punt returners of all time. Specifically, that 2013 season, I believe. I think it was 2012, 2013, or 2013, 2014 season. It was one of those 2 seasons. He was going crazy. 108-yard punt return touchdowns. To put that in the grasp, he went from the back of the end zone. He could have just took a knee and took a touchback. And he took it all the way to the other side.
Yeah, he went from chart to chart, and that doesn't happen often.
And he did it multiple times.
Yes.
And he did it in the Super Bowl also.
Yes.
To me, he's that guy. And
Harder. Go ahead.
My second favorite punt returner of all time, also known as the human joystick, is Devin Hester. Just because of how prolific his punt returnings were. And he's going to get I believe he's about to get the Hall of Fame nod this year as well.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I liked watching Devin Hester and also using him in Madden as well, because I know it would infuriate my opponents. And it's like everybody knows it's like a good backhand trick to, all right, things not going well with the Bears. Let me sub in Devin Hester at a wide receiver, 99 speed, put him on a go, send that cross route to throw people off, pop that go overhead because he's beating them off the line, and touchdown.
Yeah, there it is. Well, funny enough, I recall Devin Hester's nickname being anytime. But you did mention the human joystick, and the person I think of when I hear that name is Dante Hall, who is one of my favorite punt returners. Played for the Chiefs, played for the Rams. I think he was also I know he was a Chief in the Ram. And yeah, literally it takes half of your defense to bring this man down. And time again, he will turn, and usually you would think just fair catch it. He's getting yards out of anything. And I've seen it time and time again. Part of the reason I feel like many people I feel like the Chiefs fans of today know about Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but I'm just saying, growing up, Jamal Charles, Dante Hall, like there were some Priest Holmes, like there were some folks that really was getting active in Kansas City. They weren't getting too much success in the win column, but yeah, they also called him the X Factor. He was on the All Decade team for the 2000s. He only had 6 punt returns for touchdowns, and he only had 6 kick returns for touchdowns. But in the early 2000s, there weren't too many. He also did damage in the all-purpose aspect of things. So outside of kick returns and punt returns, he caught a few passes here and there. So yeah, I was a big fan of Dante Hall. And also a very underrated return man in the early stages of his career, Patrick Peterson.
Mm.
And he was a DB. So outside of returning punts, he was in pick sixes as well. So it was like he was impacted the game on many, many different levels. So yeah, I was a fan of Patrick Peterson's work in the return game.
Yeah, these are great picks. Patrick Peterson was very prolific. He was on the 2010s all decades team, and Dante Hall was on the 2000s all decades team. Um,
There you have it.
yeah, well said, well said. Yeah, no, I'll have to do my research and learn some more and watch about their punt returns. And Dante Hall, he ran a 4.29 40, and Patrick Peterson ran a 4.34. So these players were simply just prolific. And it's very clear that I don't know if it's a lost art like of punt returning, but I don't know. In today's day and age, I don't know if you really see people returning the ball the way that they used to in the 2010s. I don't know.
Yeah, all these concussion protocols and CTE, and you can't touch people, and it's like you get a free 25 just by waving your hands. It's like so many different rule changes have kind of watered down the need of return punts, but you still get your Tyreek Hills, your Jakeem Grants, your uh etc. I can't think of any right now, but yeah, Tyreek Hills, Jakeem Grants, and others. Alex Erickson,
Mhm.
there are a few. There are a few.
So for you, what rule do you feel like kind of messed up the punt return game?
I wouldn't say it messed it up, but it made it less necessary. Just like the fair catches, and I feel like these punters have gotten a little more skillful with like how they punt. You
Mhm.
know, you might get a wobbler, you might get some backspin. So it's like you also gotta, because the first part of punting of returning a kick is knowing where you're gonna go.
Mhm.
And you don't really know where you're gonna go until that ball lands in your hands. You get about half a second to scan, and then you get a bunch of grown men trying to take your head off. So you gotta pick your spots and make the best of it. I think Marvin Mims, a rookie for the Broncos, returned a punt this year.
Mhm.
Or was it a kick return? Maybe both. But yeah, I saw Marvin Mims get active in the return game. So it still happens, but it's definitely not as frequent in my opinion. I think Jamal Agnew also did it as well.
Mhm. Yeah, no. I agree with you, there's always controversy and controversial rule changes. But let's talk about a little bit of a different controversy. Uh,
Sure.
Russell Wilson was on. I'm blanking on the podcast.
I'm an athlete with Brandon Marshall.
I'm athlete with Brandon Marshall, and he gave some more details about the whole or sit. You can either sit or break your injury clause guarantee situation.
Mhm.
And I wanted you to provide a little bit more context and give your thoughts.
Well, Ron Rivera tried this when he got the head coach job in Washington.
Mhm.
And rebuilding is not an easy task. So I mentioned Ron Rivera because the first thing he said was we need to get my quarterback. He thought it was going to be Dwayne Haskins. It didn't really pan out. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins.
RIP.
And instead of taking a QB with the second overall pick, he took Chase Young. Home team, shout out. But you need a quarterback, and you were trying to bring out one-legged Alex Smith. Shout out to Alex Smith and Taylor Heineke. And then you sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he throws 3 passes and he's out for the year, so you have to stick with Taylor Heineke. And then you sign Carson Wentz. He's a crash dummy. So it's like you never really hit the mark on finding a QB. It took Sam Howell, top of the fifth round. He's about to be playing somewhere else. So you never really had that QB there. And in that same token, Sean Payton said, all right, this is my franchise. I talked to John Elway. He gave me full reign to do whatever I please. And what pleases me is not having you at QB because you make too much money and you're not in my future. And and honestly, I thought it was gonna work. Drew Brees was a small statured, young, not young, but what I mean, small statured pocket passer. Had a lot of success with Sean Payton. I thought Russ and Sean Payton would click,
Mhm.
and I was very wrong. So now here we are. You weren't too great last year with Nathaniel Hackett, and Sean Payton doesn't like you. So naturally, it's like, all right, you're just not in their future. So you got to end up somewhere else. Is that the Steelers? We don't know. Is that a Seahawk reunion? We don't know. Is it the
Probably not.
Raiders? We don't know. But it's not going to be in Denver.
Mm. So what do you think about that?
The game is the game. But listen, man, when I'm paid and I remember they pay you for what you've done, with the hope that you will continue to do what you've done, but there's no guarantee that you will. So once I sign that contract and the ink is dry and I get my guaranteed money, I
Mhm.
don't really owe y'all anything. I'm gonna play my best, but I don't have to. And I think Sean Payton. I mean, Russ is not Sean Payton's guy, so naturally there's gonna be a little bit of what's the word, standoffishness. You gotta show me something. You didn't show him enough, so you gotta go. That's really it.
Mm. Yeah, I think the big thing for me when like looking at the situation, I feel like the second that he was kind of on the chopping block for Denver, like ever since he really got to Denver, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like Russ got a lot of hate more than usual. Like on Club Shay Shay, Marshawn Lynch went on there and he was like, "Oh yeah, all respect to him, but I hate that guy." Um,
Yeah.
he said, "My QB is Aaron Rodgers from college." Um,
Yeah.
he said the distinctness was that they made it very clear that Russell Wilson was not a player's QB. He was a have my own have my
Yeah.
have my own office type of QB.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
He
I think
run yeah. I mean, granted, if you really look at Russ, he doesn't really give off that run through a wall, headbanger type of football player. He
yeah,
gives off that prudent kind of, button up. He probably went to a high school where they had uniforms.
he's a
You
nine
feel
to
me?
five QB. He's a 9 to 5 QB.
Yeah, respectfully. And that's my twin. We got the same birthday. So it's to Russ. But you don't give off like heathen.
You don't give off dangerous. Like
Yeah,
somebody got to say they call you dangerous. You're that SpongeBob episode where they're talking about like Weenie Hut Juniors and
oh, I wouldn't say he's Weenie Hat Juniors now.
you know you,
Oh man. Oh, is he Salty Splatoon? No, but
no
is he
Weenie
Weenie
Hut
Hat?
Juniors. Weenie
Nah, I
Hut
wouldn't
Juniors.
say that now. That's a bit much. I would
No,
say he's like,
when you look at the Legion of Boom is Salty Splatoon.
okay,
You're right. You look at Marshawn Lynch, Salty Splatoon.
okay,
Look at Russell Wilson on that team in comparison.
fair,
I'm not
fair,
saying as a
fair,
man. I'm not speaking on
fair,
him as a character. I know
fair.
he's a great father. He stepped up in a future son's life. You know what I'm saying? I know he's been doing great things with Sierra. You know, he's a good family man. You know, I'm just speaking on the football field. On the football field, he's Weenie Hut Juniors. And I think what's another comparison? You know, like the SpongeBob with no holes that's like smooth Bob.
Normal, Mr. Normal. You should call them Mr. Normal. Oh my goodness, this is insane.
I feel like chill. You know, laugh. Isn't
You
that
just called him Mr. Normal.
yeah, yeah, Mr. Normal SpongeBob. Um, yeah, yeah, normal SpongeBob. I think that's the vibes. You know, there's nothing wrong with normal SpongeBob. He's like a hi, how are you type of guy. You know, has an office. He clocks his meeting minutes. Things of that nature. But he's not like a in the locker room. um, corral the team, build that team chemistry type of guy. He's a clock in, clock out type of guy. And it works. He has a Super Bowl under his belt. It's not like that's a bad thing. It's just a different personality than most football players. You have players, a lot of players coming from Florida, DMV, Texas, the Deep South, and a lot of people, football is their way out of their situation, right? You know, and I think it comes with a different type of culture and aesthetic than Russell Wilson had. And not to say it doesn't work or it doesn't jive, but I think times are changing, and especially for the media and optically, the world definitely likes a grittier football player. That's why,
Fair, fair.
now we see more of a resurgence and more played into the maybe commercially. Russell Westbrook is great. He probably gets the best
Wilson,
deals. He's up there with Dak, right?
Russell
In terms of,
Wilson, yes.
you know what I'm saying? Russell Wilson, throw him on a billboard, you know, right? But I think the NFL likes the Lamar Jackson aesthetic. Show us where you're from. It's not time to clean it up.
Hmm.
Be real with us. Authenticity always wins in the long run. And if that's authentically who he is, then more power to you, Russell. Don't change for anybody.
You know, I've worked with you in the corporate space, and
Oh, here we go.
this was not the stance you had.
But
So,
NFL is entertainment. It's not the corporate space.
mm,
If he could be Mr. Normal Bob in the corporate space, Russell Wilson as a GM, I have no doubt that he would probably be a top 10 of all time. Well, actually, let me backtrack.
uh-oh.
I think he was great in the front office after his career.
Okay.
All right. But right now, that's not the aesthetic and what people are looking for.
Hmm. Here we are. I mean, only time will tell. I think he can still play. So, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Blank,
Mm-hmm.
the Raiders, y'all don't have to because Aiden O'Connell is a very good quarterback, and it could be one next year. But in the event that he's not, I mean, just take a look at Russ if you want to.
Hmm. Honestly, I think Russ would be good for Vegas. I think they need somebody who's not for the culture.
Hey man, keep him in division. I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't mesh well with Antonio Pierce, to tell you the truth. But
That's true. That is true.
in the event that that style clash can be overlooked, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me. You mentioned a head coach. Talk to me about something that's going on in the coaching world. Talk to me about Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy has agreed to terms with the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, to be the offensive coordinator. I felt like Colorado was right there. You went there, and that would have been a splash hire for Dion, and that would have been a very nice little, you know, first off a Super Bowl, didn't really work out in Washington, got the silent firing. Let me just go to my alma mater and kick up. I felt like that would have been perfect. Especially if Shador is coming back, that would have been box office. But I mean UCLA is cool. I feel like the defense is really where the pain point is. But at the same time, Charbonnet went there a couple years ago, so he has some capability. But I don't know. I feel like he would have been better suited in UCLA or just somewhere else. But hey,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pardon me, Colorado versus somewhere else. But hey, I feel like UCLA is a good program. I think anyone is better than Chip Kelly, so more power, more power.
So trajectory wise, where do you see Eric Bieniemy going in the future?
I think he honestly, if Dion stays in Colorado, I think he's gonna be on that staff within 2 or 3 years.
Do you see Colorado as the next Alabama?
No, but Airbnb went there, and I'm sure he has some type of relationship equity with Dion. So naturally there'll be some type of bond there. And I think building off that can only help.
Mhm.
But I do also see him potentially wanting to go back to the NFL at some point
Mhm.
because I think he still wants that head coaching role somewhere. So ideally, if somebody gives him another shot elsewhere, I wouldn't be too surprised by that.
Mhm. And then speaking of head coaches, Brian Callahan had the following to say when it comes to drafting. I wanted to hear your thoughts. He says, when all things are equal, I'll take the guy that can score touchdowns when asked about wide receiver versus O-line debate. What are your thoughts on that?
Bro, I mean the Bengals did it. They took Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, and they win the Super Bowl shortly after. So I guess, but Joe Burrow's a twig, and he's been injured a lot lately. So I mean, you take what comes with both, I guess.
I think that wide receivers are necessary, but in terms of drafting and building quality, I think that you get more bang for your buck and more team longevity with great offensive line selections. Look at the
Yes.
Colts, for example, right? The Colts, yeah, they didn't make the playoffs. They missed it by that last game versus the Texans, but they're right there and they've built a fantastic offensive line right there for
Anthony
Anthony
Richardson,
Richardson.
Jonathan Taylor, yep.
Yeah, right. And a solid O line and D line are the foundation of any offensive or defensive unit, in my opinion. And maybe I'm biased, right? And I think that they typically have greater longevity, and you don't have to pay as ridiculous of an amount. And they tend to be the lifeline and pulse of a team. Yes, the wide receivers, QBs, skill players, they pay the bills. But for sustainability, you draft a center once every 10 years, 12 or 12 years, honestly. And a good center will take you a long way right there off rip, right?
Well said.
We look at Jason Kelsey right now. Jason Kelsey's been in the league for what? How many years? Like 10, 12 years, 14 years?
I think 12, something like that.
12, Super Bowl champion, and well liked and respected guy. And he was clearly the lifeline of that team and a strong pulse of Philly.
Yeah,
And
12, well, 12, 13, yeah.
yeah, and how
Going
many
back
times was
to
he a Pro Bowl? He's a all pro.
7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time first team All Pro.
Exactly. Lifeline.
Yeah. Going back to EB for just a second, he actually had a cup of coffee at UCLA beforehand.
Mm.
He was the running backs coach 0304 and also in 2005. Well, and in 2005 he was also the recruiting coordinator,
Hmm.
and he also was in Colorado for a cup of coffee with two separate stints. In 0102 as the running backs coach, and he was also the offensive coordinator from 2011 to 2012. So Pac-12 NFL, Pac-12 NFL, Pac-12. So that's Airbnb for you.
Okay, he's a Pac-12 guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I wish him future success, and honestly, I would like to see him Colorado. I think,
Yeah.
and I think this is a good jump off point to change the temperature. Just jump straight into hot takes. This wasn't on my list, but I think hot take. I think Colorado is the next Alabama, and I think the power is going to shift from the SEC to the Pac-12 and Big Ten. I think it's
Hmm.
already starting. We saw with Michigan. Ohio State is right there, honestly. So
Hmm.
I think that's where we're going next.
Well,
Especially with what's his name?
you I think USC is moving to the Big Ten along with UCLA. So you might be on to something.
Yeah. All right. My next hot take I have for you is the Bengals make the Super Bowl with the healthy Joe Burrow. I got this from a Bengals fan.
No,
Why?
the window shut. So
Really? You think so?
yes, yes. The Texans are on their way. The Ravens are here. The Chiefs are here. The Jags are on their way. The Colts aren't too far behind. Yeah, the window shut. Y'all not making the Super Bowl.
And the Chiefs are always right there too.
Yep.
That's fair. Um, from Francis Tiafoe via Sky Sports.
Home team.
Shout out Go Terps, UMB alum. Tennis is the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I can't play it, so
Let me see.
it's probably up there. Francis Tiafoe went to Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Wait, why'd you say home team?
I mean, he was born in Hyattsville.
Yeah, he went to UMD.
Hmm, look at that.
So to you, what is the hardest sport?
Oh, you went to DeMatha? You went to Salisbury. You went in DeMatha. But anyway, Hunty. Oh no,
No, Francis Tiafoe went to Maryland. Am I tripping?
his brother, Francis Tiafoe's brother went to DeMatha and then played college tennis at Salisbury. Francis himself,
Maybe I'm tripping. Oh yeah,
doesn't.
later played college. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Salisbury. Never mind. Hmm.
I mean, University of Maryland system. But anyway, the hardest sport to play, in my opinion, play or play well.
Play well.
Play well baseball.
Hmm.
Yeah. If to be a good baseball player, I think that takes the most work,
Really?
followed by tennis. I
Some
think
some would argue that for baseball, the argument is if you got people playing it into their 50s, how hard can it really be?
play well. That's the key part. So yeah, if you're playing into your 50s, you gotta be a dog.
But the fact that people who are in their 50s can bump with people who have come up in their 20s.
It's an acquired skill. So if you're skillful at tennis, I mean baseball,
Mm.
it doesn't. Well, it can go away, but the likelihood doesn't just go away overnight.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, okay. To me, how do I stack this up? Like skill for skill, if you don't account like physicality and things of that nature and wear on the body, I think tennis is definitely up there. Part of me wants to say football, but I feel like that's just the American in me. Just wanted to say football.
I also think boxing isn't talked about enough.
Oh yeah, people die in the boxing ring. So,
Yeah, like being a skilled boxer is very much not really talked about enough.
and I think the greatness of Floyd Mayweather's 50-0 really isn't talked about enough.
Because they say he danced around and he played defense. I don't really like some people say it's on Floyd really just anyway. But
So
yeah,
because they couldn't touch him, it's his fault.
that's all I'm saying.
He was so good at defense and counterpunching that nobody could bump with him.
I man, Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest athletes I have ever watched in my own two eyes. So not many people can say not many people can hold hold that claim in my eyes. But yes, not many people.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, the next hot take I have for you is Derrick Henry will be a Raven next season. You kind of
I
highlighted
could
it a little bit, so I think you agree with me there.
I
But
could see it, yeah.
the reason I think he'll be a Raven is plays like a Raven. He plays hard football. It makes sense. You have a couple of players who are injured who honestly J.K. Dobbins isn't worth a franchise tag. He hasn't really showed us anything.
He's a
Keith
big time.
Mitchell, he's a rookie, so we're gonna have him for the foreseeable future. So yeah.
I say this with all due respect. I think J.K. Dobbins should consider covering football, preferably college football. I think he will be a great analyst for the Fox Sports covering the Big Ten. With all due respect, I don't want to see you get hurt again.
You think he'll go for that?
No, but in my opinion, I think you should. Tearing your ACL is one thing. Tearing your ACL is one thing. Tearing your Achilles is one thing. He did both.
Yeah,
Like, bro, it's okay. It's okay. You've done well. You can call yourself a millionaire. Give it up. I'm sorry.
that's fair. That's fair. All right, now I'm gonna pass it to you with the Colfax. Change the temperature for us.
All right, my brother. Do you know what a 5x5 is?
Uh, nah. Talk to me. What is that?
So, you know me. I'm a hooper. I'm a hooper first. And if for all my stat sheet stuffers out there, if you get 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks in one game, that's not regular. That's not regular activity. Only 22 people in the NBA have done that.
Mhm.
My uncle Hakeem Olajuwon did it 6 times. Home team. But most recently, the only other player to do it more than once was Andre Kirilenko, AK-47. He did it 3 times. And the most,
AK-47. That's a hard nickname.
yeah, AK-47. And the most recent individual to achieve this was the alien himself, Victor Wemby, Wemby, Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
He had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks in one game. And he almost did it in back-to-back games because the game before that, he had 31 points. Oh, wait, no, 19 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. So he was one assist away from having back-to-back 5x5s in a day. So I'm sure
Wait,
he'll,
wait, 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 wait. He almost had back to back in
yeah,
a day.
yeah, in back-to-back games, he almost had back-to-back 5x5.
Honestly, I
Because
think I'm gonna break the record for 5x5s.
uh, it's not out of yeah. Let's see, because the only other player to do it more than once was Andre Kirilenko with 3. He already has 1, and he almost had 2. So yeah, I think by year 3 or 4, you might have a few of these.
Yeah,
And mind you, he got this 5x5 in 27 minutes in 31 minutes. So he's playing like basically 3 quarters and doing this.
this
Less than 3 quarters actually. So yeah.
this guy is just an insane athlete. He's 7'4", 209 pounds.
Field goal percentage is a little low, but anyway, outside of that, like this, he's up there. No
Yeah,
pun intended.
wait for him to develop, get in the weight room. It's gonna be crazy. He's not even 21 years old.
That's true. That's very
Wow.
true. They say he's a front runner for defensive player. Well, no, he's in second best odds for defensive player of the year right now. We really go bad as a favorite.
He's averaging 3.3 blocks a game, 1.3 steals, 3.3 assists, 10 rebounds, and 20.7 points.
Um, he has the highest blocks per game in a month since 2000, and he's tied that record already. In December of 2023, he was averaging 3.8 blocks a game, and this month he averaged 3.8 blocks per game. So the 2 highest averages by a rookie since 2000.
Is the way to go through FIBA? Are the Euro players the players of the future?
Well, you could argue, mind you, the Spurs are really are red something. I don't know if you're familiar with Rob Dillingham from Kentucky, but he's nice. He's very nice. He's a guard, and they're saying that they're tanking for the #1 overall pick, so they can take Rob and pair him with Wemby and make the new Shaq and Kobe.
What's his name? Rob who?
Rob Dillingham.
Dillingham. Okay, Rob Dillingham. He's a guard at Kentucky. Okay.
Yep.
These players are getting
Born
younger. Oh my goodness.
went to Donda Academy. I didn't know that. Wait, no, wait. This isn't. Wait. Oh no, it is. This is Kanye school. Went to
Don
Kanye.
Academy?
Yes, you went to Well, you went to Kanye school, and now he's playing for Kentucky.
Kanye has a school?
Yeah, it's unaccredited though.
What does unaccredited mean?
I mean, it.
Educational
I,
quality assurance Oh, this is not a guaranteed good education. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That sounds like hate to me.
I mean, it's a title because I think Morris Brown is a university that's unaccredited.
Mm.
So, but yeah, it is a little bit of hate. It is kind of. Yeah, anyway, but yeah, Rod Dillingham.
Hmm.
Prior to that, he went to Calmont Academy in North Carolina. So the basketball path nowadays is very, very unique. It's not the typical go to OKO, go to college, go to the league. People have went G League, went overseas. So yeah, he was a 4 or 5 star recruit coming out, and he's paying dividends already, averaging good numbers. I can't find his numbers right now, but he's averaging good numbers.
Robert Dion Potassi Dillingham. He played for Team Mexico's FIBA under 21 and won gold.
15, 3, and 3. 15, 3, and 4.
Hmm. I did not know this. Donda Academy. Huh.
Yeah.
What else you got for us? I know you got to get
All
out.
right. Yeah. So this Sunday, the Iowa women's team is playing Ohio State, and this will be the most expensive ticket. The most expensive ticket for this game is going at $491 for non-general admission.
$491.
Yes.
Yo, salute to women's basketball. And I really credit Angel Reese here for really elevating it in the most recent years. I know that the likes of like Sue Bird,
Skylar Diggins, Diana
Skylar Diggins. Oh
Taurasi,
my gosh, this looks bad. This looks so bad. You know what I'm saying, right? Like
Brittany Griner. Yep.
Brittany Griner. Those stars have really elevated it. But I feel like in the recent years, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark have really elevated women's basketball to the next level. And then the South Carolina women's basketball team as well.
Coach Staley. Shout out to Coach Staley.
South Carolina, UConn, LSU, Maryland,
Right.
Baylor.
Baylor.
Like women's basketball is really making a mark, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this start translating to the WNBA. I'm not gonna lie, a WNBA matchup of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, I'm going to that game.
Yeah.
I'm going to that game.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of them play for the DC team, so it's easily accessible. But
the Washington Mystics. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
But yeah.
Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia want to fight. Oh, anyway. Did you know that Todd Gurley is younger than Derrick Henry?
Really? By how much?
Yeah, by about 3 years. Oh wait, no, he hasn't played in over 3 years. The age difference is, I think he retired, but the age difference is Todd Gurley is
29.
29, home team wants from Baltimore. And Derrick Henry is 30, I think.
What happened to Todd Gurley? Why was he?
He has degenerative knees. Right, actually. Like so he tore his ACL and his knees just haven't really recovered since then.
Sorry to hear that because he was offensive player of the year and offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, very short prime, but that prime was undeniable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of undeniable primes, before we get out of here, LeBron is 74 points away from 40,000 points in his career.
LeBron is statistically the greatest NBA player of all time.
Yes.
Stats wise.
Yes.
So
and yeah.
And if you haven't already, catch a LeBron game before he retires. I know it seems like he'll be here forever. He's 39, right? He has less than 5 seasons left. He's not playing until he's 50.
Yeah.
So catch a game before he retires, because after his son enters the league, the first one, and you get to see them on the same court, he'll probably retire the season after. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what's crazy? I know people talk about Bronny, but they said that Bryce might be the one.
Oh, Bryce is going to be like 7 feet tall.
They said Bryce might be the one. So I'm looking forward to both of them because I'm looking forward to both of their futures in the NBA. God willing, and I mean we can talk about that later. Yeah. For lastly, shout out to Ryan Clark. And I don't know about Christian Ralph. I heard that Ryan Clark, host of the Pivot podcast, he cut a deal with ESPN, making the highest paid NFL analyst at about $2 million per year. So, way to get to the money in multiple ways.
Thanks. I'm glad to see a lot of commentators getting their money and the respect that they deserve. I know that in the past, like Shannon Sharp, when he was parting ways with
FS1, yeah.
FS1, seeing his trajectory and his rise. I hope Ryan Campbell has the same trajectory and rise. It seems like ESPN is the way to go, honestly, and it seems like they have a great culture and
Buy Disney stock. It's not financial advice.
not non-financial advice. Do your own research. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Fever Pitch Podcast. Sorry that I'm a little bit wonky and I've been sick for a while, but I'm recovering nicely and doing well. Please follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and leave a review and let us know what you guys think. Let us know what you guys think of the podcast. You know, your 5-star reviews help us to get more exposure and out there, and we really appreciate it. We want to talk to you guys on the podcast as well. So if you have sports hot takes or anything analytically you'd want to talk about, or even if you have a team that you really root for and you have some stats about your team that we haven't covered and things that you want to bring to light, let us know. Talk to us. Reach out to us via email, Instagram DM, and we'll love to have you guys on. We want to make this a syndicate and talk to you guys more and capture your hot takes and cold facts.
In that same token, be on the lookout. I interviewed a good man, Kobe Johnson, Morgan State alum who played lacrosse. Yeah, so please tune in. As you're watching this, please just go ahead and click that as well.
If you're on YouTube, it should be popping up on the screen somewhere over here or over there. Right now, it's our most recent episode. But yeah.
It's a good watch. So be on the lookout. Shout out to my boy Kobe.
Yeah. And thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Fever Pitch Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time in March. Happy leap year.